It's very important to understand that generic AI workshops are out of the loop as of today. You cannot just say prompt engineering and sell prompt engineering. That doesn't work out well, right? Uh, no vendor alignment. What I mean by vendor alignment is there needs to be a lot more understanding and dependency just on big players like Microsoft, AWS, Cisco, unverified credentials where you really do not know the proof of potential. You still do not know whether these certifications is actually a proof of potential or it is just a mere digital certificate granted. How do we ensure that there is a complete infrastructure and ecosystem attached to the certification that helps the learner to really adopt the complete AI tool so that in future they can increase their efficiency, adaptability, and of course their efficacy of work, which is in terms of accuracy. No standard compliance. We have seen in APAC very specifically there's a very regional nuance that gets introduced because every country has a different way of putting governance structures into place. Like India has a DPDP act, then Singapore has a different act, Philippines has a different act, and not every act is compliant in any other country. So you need a very holistic way of putting certifications into place that can actually work very well with your training. And now, as I mentioned in the first point, AI workshops doesn't work. That's where it's very important to understand that on a very high level it is difficult to position just generic offerings into the portfolio. So that's where AI search comes into play, where they have, or I would rather say the complete team has built a complete suite of portfolio of about 90 plus certifications. So now you get about 50 technical certifications, 50 non-technical certifications. So if you are into HR, finance, legal, now why I'm saying this and why I want to talk about these many certifications is because that's my second point, right? I mean, that's what the enterprise or the buyers demand right now. They want something which is very aligned to the current ecosystem that they are working in. So people would not be interested to know that how prompt engineering works specifically in ChatGPT. I would be interested to know because my ecosystem is completely of Microsoft. We use Teams, we use Copilot. Can you tell me how Copilot adoption can be done using training as one of the real levers? Right. So the enterprise demand has completely changed. Now they want to look at something which is a standard compliant training module which can get them ROI, something which is very standardized across, because they know that their learners are not from a very specific country. If I am situated in Spain today, or my company is headquartered in Spain, by design I will have 70-60% of the people working in Spain, maybe in the nearby countries, but there would be a lot of people working outside Spain as well. Now that is where it is very imperative and important that the complete framework of building the certification is built around the uh, ISO or something which has a lot more credibility in the industry. That is what we solve it for right now. Why this wins enterprise contract? So I think I am not the right person to share the success stories. I think that Afrin would be able to do much better than me. But I would just be talking about, Afrin, if you can just slightly move to the back slide, I just wanted to cover very important aspect why we have seen the success with our partners. One,
Absolutely.
position training as a training transactional way of putting a module into it and then probably asking them to go through it, and then no one is no one is really caring about the fact that what happens after the training. That's where change management, program management comes into play, because there's a lot of workflow automation that you might be able to do it for them. There is a lot of change in terms of using the AI tools that they would not be using it earlier. So a traditional way of approaching things needs to be changed, and that cannot just be changed with a 5-day training module. Of course that can be implanted, that can be practiced, but for an adoption of real adoption of having this, there needs to be a continuous learning. There needs to be a real ROI behind what they want to do, right? So that becomes a lot more imperative. And to tell you that we have worked with about more than 320 partners. We have 320, 325. I'm not sure, Afrin, you can tell the number, but 320 was the last week number, where we have 320 plus partners who are
That's right.
working across the globe. And we have a very strong customer success team, partner marketing management team. They work and bring the best practices who, let's say someone is doing very good in Australia, how are they doing good, how can we help the other partners to ramp up, all of those things. So after that, we have understood that these are the 4-5 things are very important to win the enterprise deals. So the result is a scalable AI practice with multiple revenue streams. So that's what we want to position it for you. And since you are going to be our customers, but the end users are not going to be, the ones that we are going to interact. We as a certification body do not put ourselves in the forefront of the end users. That is, our customers are you, and your customers are the end users, of course, the learners, and then you will be interacting with the learners on behalf of us. That's how the entire model would work. Of course, Afrin will give a lot more brief. Afrin, can you go on to the third part that I've just put in on the slide? Just the next slide. Yeah. So the 3 revenue enablers in APAC that the partner need. One is revenue ready certifications, which is more specifically to a job role. Now, just imagine we have created certifications for healthcare, for niche like research, for niche like quantum computing. So if you talk about any specific domain today, real estate, how does a real estate agent, let's say if a real estate seller or a salesperson wants to really try to understand the complete funnel and try to pitch it in a right way, what are the key tools that the person needs to use? What are the key workflows that will work out for that particular sales leader or sales lead to ensure that that person is completely using the AI to really reduce the manual workload and improving the productivity? We do not claim a productivity of 30 odd percent, 40 odd percent. That's a sweet spot that we have figured it out. Everyone wants to claim. But real productivity in the first 6 months that we and our partners have claimed is about 12 to 13% rate initially, because we have seen a lot of pilots not getting scaled, maybe because of multiple reasons. But the real problem is to drive adoption of these tools and to build more credibility. So, of course, revenue ready certifications is very important. Standards and compliance should be again a part of another pillar to enable the complete ecosystem. So, when we talk about revenue ready certification, we are saying that we are ISO compliant 170242012. We are vendor aligned. Our curriculum is not independent or agnostic of companies like Microsoft, Cisco, PMI. We supplement them, but with a lot more depth in AI. Third thing, if I want to talk about, we have a complete infrastructure that we have developed, which I'm talking about the proven partner ecosystem. So we have a complete backbone using multiple platforms that we have created a complete ecosystem for our partners to have complete reporting in one place, to learners data in one place, to have their all the reporting dashboard and all the analytical dashboard coming in at one place to give a lot more insight in what is happening in that particular region. And that becomes a lot more interesting fact for me to tell you what comes next, because we have then created, using blockchain as a technology, few AI labs for ourselves, which we use it in terms of our certifications. So one of the examples is proctoring tool. One of the example is certificate issuance tool. You might be aware about. I just wanted to understand, out of all of you, I don't want to bore all of you, but I just wanted to ask if you can ping it in the group or in the chat. Are you aware about Credly? Have you heard about Credly? Have you heard about Metal, Mercer, or anything related to anything that you would be using in your current ecosystem? If you can write it in the chat, I would be glad to hear that. And I think maybe if you want to call it out, whatever people write it, I just want people to be understand that what we have built over these years and how do this really complement the current offerings that we have for our partners. So I think I can see someone has written Metal, someone has written Credly. Of course, never heard these terms.
Haven't heard the term.
These terms. Great. So all these companies usually provides authenticity to the certification space. So when you are writing an examination, it is a proctored exam, so no one can cheat in the examination. There are multiple vendors out there for. If you are creating, if you get a certification, you should get a digital verified certification so that employers can actually verify those certifications.